Mira always believed that her small colony world was a safe place where nothing truly dangerous could touch her life. The colony was quiet and distant from the main human Federation routes. People here focused on farming, mining, and old traditions that had survived many generations. Mira grew up working with her family and dreaming of a future among the stars. She often watched the sky at night and imagined starships passing overhead, even if none ever came this far. She believed her future would be bright even if the present was simple. But everything changed on the day the Circus caravan arrived. It was a massive traveling alien show known for crossing planets and trading strange performances. Its bright ships landed near the colony gates, creating a festival glow across the dusty fields. Children laughed. Adults whispered. Everyone felt excitement except Mira, who sensed something cold in the air. She did not know why, but she felt as if the circus ships were watching her. Her family gathered at the table that night. The air was heavy and strange. Her mother avoided her eyes. Her father kept his hands still in a way he never did before. Mira felt a quiet storm rising inside her. She waited for someone to speak, but no one did. The silence grew painful. Then, her father finally told her that the family owed a great debt. A debt they could never repay in their lifetime. Work had failed. Crops were dying. They had no choice. When Mira asked what this had to do with her, her mother began to cry. That was the moment Mira understood that something terrible was coming. Her father told her the circus had made them an offer to take Mira as part of their show in exchange for clearing the entire debt. Mira froze. Her breath stopped. Her world cracked. She told them she was not an object. She told them she was their daughter. She begged them to think again. But her father whispered that this was the only way to save the rest of the family. Her mother tried to touch her hand, but Mira pulled away trembling. Before she could run, the circus guards stepped inside the house. Tall alien figures with glowing armor. Their eyes scanned her as if she were a rare creature. Mira felt trapped like a bird caught in a cage. She tried to break free, but the guards blocked every path. Her father looked down, unable to face her. Her mother shook with silent tears. Mira felt betrayal rise in her chest like fire. It burned yet left her cold. The guards led her outside where a narrow transport pod waited. The circus master stood near it, smiling with great pride. He was a thin alien with long fingers and eyes too bright to seem natural. He greeted Mira like she was a prize he had been waiting for. Mira felt her heart fill with fear and anger, but she held her head high. She refused to show weakness. The colony people gathered at a distance, watching with mixed emotions. Some pitied her. Some were curious. None stepped forward to help. Mira felt alone in a way she had never felt before. As the guards pushed her toward the pod, she looked back at her family. Her voice cracked as she said that one day they would regret this. Her father flinched as if the words struck him. But still he did not stop the guards. Inside the pod, Mira sat in silence. The door closed with a heavy sound that felt like a final goodbye to her old life. The pod lifted into the air and flew toward the main circus ship. Through the window she watched the colony shrink into a small cluster of lights. A place that once felt like home now felt like a prison. She had escaped by force. Her heart broke, but something deeper awakened inside her. A promise, a spark, a quiet voice in her mind saying that this was not the end, that she would survive, that she would find freedom again, and that the stars would one day carry her far beyond the place that betrayed her. The circus ship opened its gates and swallowed the pod into darkness. Mira inhaled slowly, preparing for whatever waited inside. She whispered to herself that no matter what happened, she would not break. She would rise again. She would find her destiny, even if she had to carve it from the cold metal of the stars. Asterisk. The first thing Mira noticed inside the alien circus ship was the strange mix of colors and shadows. The corridors glowed with shifting lights that made her feel as if the walls were alive. Machines hummed softly in the distance. Strange voices echoed from different directions. Mira felt small among this maze of unknown sounds, but she kept walking, with her chin lifted. She refused to show fear. 2 guards guided her into a large chamber where alien performers trained. Some practiced acrobatics on floating rings. Others controlled creatures that looked like living smoke. Every performer moved with discipline, yet there was a heaviness in their eyes. Mira sensed that she was not the only one trapped here. This place did not feel like entertainment. It felt like a cage made of lights. The circus master entered the chamber with a wide grin. He welcomed Mira into what he called the Grand Constellation Circus. His voice sounded too cheerful, as if he enjoyed the fear in her eyes. He explained that humans were extremely rare in this part of the galaxy. A human performer would bring large crowds. Mira told him she would never perform for him. The master only laughed and said she would change her mind once she understood the rules. Days passed and Mira learned the truth. The circus expected obedience. Every performer followed strict schedules controlled by glowing wristbands that monitored movement. The guards stood at every corner. There were cameras that tracked performers day and night. The circus master believed fear was the strongest training method. Mira was assigned a small living cell with metal walls that shifted their color from blue to silver. She ate simple meals and trained under harsh instructions. They wanted her to perform human strength and agility acts for alien audiences who had never seen such things. She practiced climbing narrow towers. She learned balance on unstable floating platforms. Her body ached, but she kept going. She knew that weakness would only give them power over her. During training, she met others who had been taken from different worlds. Some were kind and whispered warnings to her. They told her that no one ever left the circus unless the master allowed it. They told her that escape was impossible because every door opened only with coded keys. Mira listened, but she never accepted the idea of being trapped forever. Deep inside, she carried a quiet fire that refused to die. Each night, she explored small hidden corners of the circus whenever the guards were distracted. She memorized routes. She studied vents and narrow paths. She watched guard patterns. She became more observant with each passing day. One night, she noticed a strange metal container in a storage room. It was marked with a faded human symbol, a small flag with the old Earth emblem. Mira stared at it with shock. Why would the circus have something belonging to humans? She wanted to open it, but heavy footsteps approached, so she hid in the shadows. The circus master entered the room with 2 guards. Mira listened from behind a crate. She heard the master say that the container must remain locked until the buyer arrived. He mentioned a name she did not understand. He spoke of a man who had been searching for something connected to humans. Mira felt chills run through her. Was this about her? Was someone looking for her, or was it something darker? Next day, during a performance rehearsal, Mira noticed fear among the staff. The aliens whispered to each other with tension in their voices. They said a new visitor was coming, someone powerful, someone human. The idea shocked Mira. She had not seen another human since she left her colony. Questions rushed through her mind. Was this visitor friend or danger? That night she felt the entire circus ship rumble as a small shuttle docked. The guards stood in straight rows. The circus master adjusted his bright coat. The whole place felt ready for inspection. Mira watched from behind the curtain with her heart beating fast. A tall human man stepped into the main hall. He carried himself with calm strength. His eyes moved slowly across the area until they reached the performers. When he looked at Mira, she felt something shift inside her. Not fear, not danger, something else. She sensed recognition, as if he knew her story before she spoke a word. The circus master bowed and greeted him loudly. But the man kept his attention on Mira. The master noticed this and looked uneasy. For the first time since Mira arrived, the master seemed nervous. That alone gave Mira a spark of hope that something was changing. Something powerful was coming. And Mira felt her destiny pulling closer with every breath. The hall fell silent as the human traveler stepped inside. The air changed. Even the glowing lights seemed to dim as if the ship itself was watching him. Mira stood near the edge of the curtain trying to understand what she was seeing. A human. Here in this forgotten part of the galaxy. A human who walked with steady confidence. A human who did not look afraid of the circus guards or the alien leader who ruled this place with iron control. His name was Rylan, though Mira did not know that yet. What she saw first was the way he carried himself. Calm, focused, strong. He wore reinforced travel armor with a Federation emblem on his shoulder. That alone was enough to make the circus master uncomfortable. The Federation had power, influence, and a reputation for protecting humans across worlds. Mira felt a spark of hope, but she kept it hidden. Hope could be dangerous if it was misplaced. Rylan looked around the hall as if scanning every detail. His gaze was sharp like a soldier trained to notice danger before anyone else. When his eyes reached Mira, he paused. It was only a moment, yet she felt as if he had looked straight into her heart. She felt exposed, seen, not as a performer, but as a person. A human who did not belong in this cage. The circus master stepped forward with a smile that looked too wide. He spoke with excitement about the circus and the rare performers. He bragged about their shows and their collection of exotic beings. But Raylan did not clap or smile. He asked direct questions. How? Many performers were here. How were they treated? Where did they come from? The guards shifted nervously. The master answered each question with rehearsed words while avoiding Rylan's eyes. Mira watched closely. This man was not here for entertainment. He was searching for something. During rehearsal time, Rylan asked to see the performers. The master hesitated but agreed. Mira joined the line with the others under the dim training lights. Her heart beat faster as Rylan approached their row. He looked at each performer with patience, as if measuring their condition and spirit. When he reached Mira, he stopped again. He asked her name. His voice was calm yet strong. Mira hesitated, then told him quietly. He asked how long she had been here. She said she did not know exactly. The days inside the circus blended into one painful routine. Before she could say more, the circus master interrupted and said Mira was a new performer who had agreed to join. Then willingly, Rylan raised one eyebrow. Mira saw the disbelief in his expression. He knew the master was lying. Rylan continued speaking to Mira with a steady tone, asking about her home world and her family. Mira answered with short, careful words. She did not fully trust him, but something about him felt different from everyone else she had met here. She saw anger flicker in his eyes whenever she mentioned the rules of the circus. That anger was not for her. It was for the injustice done to her. The circus master grew impatient. He guided Rylan away and tried to distract him with other attractions. But Rylan kept glancing back at Mira. She felt his gaze and felt strength rise inside her. For the first time since her capture, she felt seen by someone who might understand her pain. Later that night, Mira overheard the master speaking to his guards in a private corridor. His voice was tense. He said Rylan was dangerous. He said humans should not be on this route. He told them to hide the locked container with the human emblem and move it to a restricted level. Mira listened from the shadows with growing unease. What was in that container? Why did Rylan's presence make the master panic? Rylan meanwhile explored parts of the ship freely without fear. His steps echoed through the metallic halls. Some performers whispered that he might be a Federation investigator. Others said he might be searching for someone lost. Mira wondered if she could be that someone, though she pushed the idea away. She did not want to hope too quickly. As the night grew deeper, Mira returned to her cell. She sat on her narrow bed. staring at the faint stars outside the small window. The ship drifted through space like a giant metal beast. She wondered what Rylan would do next. Would he leave? Would he stay? Would he help her, or was he only passing through before she could settle into sleep? Her door unlocked without warning. It opened slowly, revealing Rylan standing in the doorway. His expression was serious, his voice low. He said he needed to talk to her. He said her life was in danger. And he said he knew the truth behind her capture. In that moment, Mira knew everything. In her world was about to change again. Rylan stepped into Myra's cell with quiet control. The door closed behind him with a soft hiss. Mira stood up quickly, unsure if she should feel relief or fear. The dim blue lights of the corridor wrapped around him like shadows. His expression was sharp and focused. He looked like a man who had come here with purpose. Mira's heart raced as she waited for him to speak. He told her he was not a simple traveler. He was part of a small Federation search team. Their mission was to investigate missing humans across remote systems. For months they followed traces of people who vanished without explanation. That trail had led him to this Circus ship. He believed the Circus was responsible for capturing humans from isolated colonies. Mira felt her breath catch. She finally understood why the master behaved so nervously. Rylan asked Mira about the night she was taken. She told him everything: the debt, the betrayal, the guards, her family fear, her own shock and helpless anger. As she spoke, Rylan's eyes darkened with quiet fury. He said she had suffered something no human should endure. Mira lowered her gaze, unsure how to respond to someone who seemed to care. Rylan then revealed something that made her chest tighten. Mira's name had appeared on a Federation alert weeks ago. A missing citizen notice. The Federation was looking for her because her colony record suddenly disappeared. Someone had erased it. Someone had wanted her hidden. Mira stood frozen, unable to understand why she mattered to anyone outside her small world. Before she could ask questions, Rylan pulled a small datasphere from his belt. He twisted its surface until a soft hologram glowed above it. The image displayed a list of genetic symbols and family markers. Mira saw her name at the top. Rylan explained that she carried a rare genetic imprint linked to an old line of human explorers from centuries ago. These explorers had recorded star maps that no longer existed. Their knowledge was priceless. Alien groups wanted this information and believed genetic lines could unlock hidden archives. Mira stared at the glowing symbols in disbelief. She never imagined her bloodline had such history. She had been a simple colony girl. Now she learned she was connected to something ancient and valuable. It felt unreal. Rylan's voice lowered as he revealed another truth. The circus master had not taken Mira simply for shows. He planned to sell her to an alien syndicate that collected rare human traits. The locked container Mira had seen in the storage room was linked to this plan. It contained data fragments from old human explorers. Combined with Mira's genetic imprint, it could open forbidden star routes. Mira felt cold fear wrap around her spine. She was a target. Not just a performer, but a key to something far bigger. Before Mira could speak, footsteps echoed in the hall. Rylan moved quickly and placed a small device on her wristband. It flickered with static, then shut down. He told her it would block the circus trackers for a short time. He said he needed to move her to a safer place before the master found them talking. But the cell door suddenly opened again. 2 guards entered with force. They ordered Rylan to step away, their voices trembling with tension. The master wanted Mira brought to a private chamber immediately. Rylan did not argue. He raised his hands and stepped back. But Mira noticed the way his eyes scanned the room. He was already forming a plan. The guards grabbed Mira and marched her through twisting corridors. She felt heat rise in her chest. Not from fear, but from anger and confusion. She wanted answers. She wanted freedom. She wanted to understand why her life had become tangled in galactic secrets. They dragged her into a dark audience hall where the circus master waited with a cold smile. He asked her what Rylan had told her. Mira stayed silent. The master stepped closer and said he had worked too long to let her ruin his plans. He told her she was worth more than any performer. She was a treasure to the right buyer. Mira's heart pounded as she tried to hide her trembling hands. He ordered his guards to prepare her for transport to a hidden sector. She heard them mention an alien syndicate. She heard them speak of leaving the circus behind to deliver her to their buyer. Her fear turned into burning resolve. She refused to be taken again. The master leaned close and whispered that no human would save her. Mira looked straight into his eyes and said he was wrong. At that exact moment, the lights flickered. A deep alarm rang across the ship. The ground shook beneath them. Someone had breached the main docking bay. The guards panicked. The master shouted orders. Mira knew who it was. Rylan had returned, and everything was about to change. The alarm thundered through the circus ship like a rising storm. Red lights flashed across the metallic walls and shadows danced wildly in every corner. Mira felt her heart jump with a mixture of fear and hope. The guards around her scrambled. In confusion, the circus master shouted orders that no one seemed able to follow. Something powerful had breached the docking bay, and the entire ship trembled under the shock. Mira knew Rylan had done this. She felt it deep inside. He had not left her behind. He had come back for her with a plan bold enough to disrupt an entire alien circus. For the first time since her capture, she felt the chains around her spirit loosen. A guard grabbed her arm and tried to pull her toward a side door. She twisted and struck his wrist with sudden force. Training under harsh circus routines had sharpened her reflexes. The guard cried out, and Mira broke free. Before he could call for backup, the ship shook again, and the lights flickered. Sparks fell from the ceiling. Mira used the moment and ran into the dark corridor. She moved quickly through twisting halls lit by chaotic flashes. She knew parts of the ship from her nights of silent exploration. She headed toward the storage deck, hoping to find a path that would take her closer to the docking bay. Behind her she heard shouting and heavy footsteps chasing her. As Mira reached a junction, she almost collided with two alien performers who stared at her in shock. They whispered that the guards had lost control of the lower levels. They said the gates had been forced open. They said someone had destroyed the security locks. Mira understood that Rylan had made himself unstoppable. She moved past them and continued running. When she reached the storage deck, she stopped to catch her breath. Her eyes locked onto the metal container she had seen days before, the one with the human emblem. The old Earth flag glowed faintly under emergency lights. Something inside her told her this container mattered. If the circus master wanted it, and Rylan knew her genetic imprint connected to old explorers, then maybe the answer to everything lay inside. She pressed her hands against the container and searched for a release system. She found a small scanner, but it remained dead due to the power fluctuations. She tried again, but the alarm drowned her actions. The ship shook once more, and a loud crash echoed from the hallway. Rylan appeared through the smoke. He looked fierce and determined. His armor was scorched and his breathing heavy, but his eyes locked onto Mira with relief. He told her they had very little time. The master had called for backup from nearby mercenary ships. They needed to escape before the circus could trap them again. Mira told him about the container. Rylan's eyes narrowed with recognition. He said it contained lost explorer data, information that could change the power structure of entire sectors. He said the master wanted to sell it to aliens who hunted human secrets. That was why Mira had been taken. Her bloodline could unlock the data map inside. Before they could open the container, guards stormed into the deck. Mira and Rylan rushed behind crates as energy shots blasted around them. Mira's heart pounded as she searched for a tool. She grabbed a metal rod and threw it at a light panel. Sparks burst out and blinded the guards for a moment. Raylan used the distraction to tackle one guard and disable him. The circus master entered the room with fury burning in his bright alien eyes. He shouted that Mira belonged to him and that Raylan interference would cost him everything. Raylan stood in front of Myra, ready to protect her. The master activated a command stick that controlled the ship's mechanical defenses. Metal limbs and automated arms unfolded from the walls like giant beasts ready to strike. A mechanical claw slammed down near Mira, sending debris flying. She rolled to the side and reached Raylan. They moved together, trying to stay ahead of the machines. Raylan fired a pulse shot that hit a control node. The machine slowed for a moment. Mira used her training and climbed the support frame before a metallic arm tried to crush her. She reached the upper walkway and jumped onto a dropping cable, which swung her toward the container. Raylan shouted for her to get the key latch on the side. Mira moved fast and hit the latch with a sharp strike. The container opened slightly, releasing a soft golden glow. The master screamed in rage and ordered his machines to crush both of them. Before the machines reached them, the floor beneath the deck shook violently. Raylan yelled that the docking bay shields had collapsed. They needed to get to his shuttle now, or they would both be captured again. Mira left the container half open and jumped back to the lower floor. Raylan grabbed her hand and pulled her toward an emergency exit. Behind them, the circus master roared with fury. The escape path was full of smoke and flashing lights. The ship groaned with stress as systems failed one after another. Mira felt the heat of explosions behind them. But she kept running. Each step felt like one closer to her freedom. Raylan led her toward a docking hatch where a small, sleek shuttle waited with its engines glowing bright. As they reached it, Mira looked back one last time. The circus ship burned with chaos. Guards shouted. Machines malfunctioned. The master continued screaming her name. Myra turned away with new strength in her heart. She stepped into the shuttle, knowing her life had changed forever. And she knew the fight was far from over. The shuttle door closed behind Mira and Raylan with a heavy metallic sound. For a brief moment, Mira believed they were finally safe. But the moment the engines fired, the entire docking bay erupted with blinding sparks. Massive blast shields crashed down from the ceiling and locked into place. The circus master had activated the emergency trap system. He was determined to stop their escape no matter the cost. Raylan gripped the shuttle controls and tried to lift off, but the doors stayed sealed. The engine roared, but the bay remained shut. Mira looked through the front window and saw shadows gathering behind the smoke. Dozens of circus guards stepped forward with weapons ready. Behind them, the circus master appeared slowly with the confidence of someone who believed he had already won. He shouted across the bay, telling Mira that running was useless. He claimed she belonged to him and to the highest bidder waiting in the outer sectors. He pointed his staff toward the shuttle, and the mechanical arms along the ceiling came alive once more. They twisted and tightened like steel serpents preparing to strike. Raylan activated the shuttle defense shield, but the machines hammered against it with frightening force. The entire vessel shook. Mira grabbed the side rail to keep her balance. Her heart pounded with fear and anger. She had escaped once, but the circus master refused to let her leave his cage. She stared at the mechanical arms and remembered every night she spent trapped inside this ship, the training, the humiliation, the hopelessness, the betrayal by her family. It all rose inside her like a storm. The shields began to weaken. Raylan cursed it under his breath and tried to reroute extra power. Sparks burst from the side panel. Mira felt the shuttle tilt under another impact. If the shields failed, they would be exposed. They would be taken again. Mira refused to let that happen. She looked at the storage container left behind in the Waira. Refused to let that happen. Earlier chaos. She remembered the golden glow she saw when it opened. She wondered if that was their only chance. She told Rylan that she could reach the container if he opened the shuttle door. He turned to her with shock. He said it was too dangerous. The guards would target her instantly, but Mayra looked straight into his eyes. She told him that she was done being powerless, done being hunted, done being treated as something to be bought or sold. Rylan saw the fire in her expression, the strength she had gained inside these metal walls. He understood that she was no longer the frightened girl who arrived here. She was something far stronger now. He opened the shuttle side door. The moment Mira stepped out, the guards aimed their weapons. She ran behind a fallen support beam, dodging blasts of energy that struck the floor near her feet. The heat burned her skin, but she kept running. Raylan covered her with pulse shots from the shuttle turret. The air filled with smoke and red flashes. Mira reached the half-open container. The golden glow shined brighter now, as if reacting to her presence. She placed her hand on the edge, and the metal shifted under her touch. It responded to her genetic imprint. The lock snapped open, and the lid rose slowly, revealing a crystalline device shaped like a star fragment. Its core pulsed with ancient human energy. The circus master screamed for his guards to stop her. He ran toward her with rage twisting his face. Mira lifted the glowing star fragment and felt a sudden surge inside her. The device projected a wide shockwave of golden light. The guards nearest to her were knocked to the floor. The mechanical arms froze mid-strike. The entire docking bay vibrated from the force. The circus master yelled that she did not know what she was holding. Mira told him she did not care. If it helped her escape, she would use it. He lunged toward her, but the device flared again and pushed him back across the floor. Rylan shouted for Mira to return. The shuttle needed to lift off before the systems failed completely. Mira sprinted back through smoke and fallen debris. When she reached the shuttle, Rylan grabbed her hand and pulled her inside. He sealed the door and redirected every drop of power into the engines. The golden device in Mira's hands continued to glow. Rylan used its signal to override the bay doors. The massive steel gates groaned as they slowly lifted. The circus master screamed from below. He crawled to his feet, shouting that Mira was not free. He swore that he would find her again, but Myra looked down at him with steady eyes. For the first time, she felt control over her destiny. She whispered that she was no longer his prisoner. The shuttle engines roared and blasted upward. The bay doors opened wide. Bright stars filled the window as they shot into open space, leaving the circus ship burning behind them. Mira held the glowing device close to her chest. Rylan looked at her with respect and admiration. The storm was not over, but they had taken the most important step. They had won the first fight for her freedom. And the galaxy was now wide open before them. The shuttle soared into open space, leaving the burning circus ship shrinking into a flickering point of light. For the first time in what felt like forever, Mira breathed without chains around her heart. She sat in the co-pilot seat, holding the glowing star fragment in her hands. Its warm golden light pulsed softly like a heartbeat, matching her own. Raylan piloted the ship with steady focus, guiding them through drifting debris and fading alarm echoes. Silence filled the cabin. A peaceful silence Mira had almost forgotten existed. Her body trembled from the fight, yet she felt lighter than she ever had. Rylan glanced at her and asked if she was hurt. She shook her head, though her voice was still unsteady. She said she felt different, stronger, alive in a way she had never known. Rylan told her they had only minutes before mercenary ships arrived. The circus master had likely sent distress signals everywhere. They needed to reach the Federation cruiser hidden beyond the nearby nebula. Mira nodded and tightened her grip on the glowing star fragment. She felt drawn to its energy as if it recognized her. She wondered if the explorers whose line she carried had held something like this long ago. As they passed the first cloud of the nebula, the star fragment suddenly glowed brighter. It projected faint lines in the air like shimmering maps. Raylan gasped softly. He recognized the pattern. These were lost star routes drawn by ancient human explorers. Routes that had been erased from all known archives. Routes that could lead to forgotten worlds and unknown dangers. Mira stared at the floating map with awe and fear. Raylan said the circus master had been right about one thing. Mira was valuable, but not as a performer or a trade item. She was valuable because she carried history that could change the future of humanity. Mira felt a heavy weight settle on her shoulders, a weight she never asked for. Yet something inside her said she could carry it. As the shuttle entered the deeper haze of the nebula, an incoming message flashed on the screen. Raylan opened it, and a hologram of a Federation officer appeared. The officer welcomed them and instructed them to follow the beacon to the hidden cruiser. Mira felt relief knowing she was returning to real humans. Humans who would protect her instead of cage her. When they reached the cruiser, its massive doors opened like the jaws of a giant guardian. The shuttle glided inside and landed softly. Mira stepped out onto clean metal floors under bright, white lights. She felt strange walking among people who looked like her after so long surrounded by alien crowds. Federation officers approached with warm expressions and offered her a protective cloak. They told her she was safe now. For the first time, those words felt true. Raylan stayed close as they guided Mira to a medical and briefing room. She watched him from the side of her vision. He looked tired but calm. He had risked everything to save her. She did not know why. He had chosen her, but she felt grateful in ways she could not express. Inside the room, Mira sat on a cushioned bench while doctors scanned her for injuries. Raylan stood at the door, speaking with the commanding officer. Mira heard him explain the situation. He told them the circus master had been part of a network stealing humans for secret buyers. He told them Mira's genetic imprint was rare, and she needed special protection. The officer agreed and promised full support. When the room finally emptied, Mira sat alone with the glowing star fragment. She rotated it slowly, watching golden light dance across the walls. Her journey had begun with betrayal, but now she felt something new rising inside her. A sense of purpose. A sense of belonging to something greater than the colony she left behind. The door opened softly, and Raylan entered. He told her the officers wanted her to rest, but Mira asked him to stay. She told him she was afraid of what would come next. She asked what it meant to carry such a rare lineage. Raylan sat beside her and said it meant she had choices. She could live a quiet life under protection. She could train with Federation scouts. Or she could explore the star routes hidden within the device. He reminded her that she did not have to decide now. Her freedom meant the future belonged to her. Mira nodded, but her eyes drifted back to the glowing fragment. Its light pulsed again, and suddenly the shuttle console across the room beeped. A new message appeared. Mira and Raylan exchanged confused looks. The message was encrypted with old human codes. Raylan unlocked it carefully. A distorted voice played through the speakers. The voice sounded human yet tired and distant. It said only a few haunting words. "You were not the only one taken. Find the others. Time is running out." The message ended, leaving the room silent. Mira felt her blood run cold. She looked at Raylan and saw the same realization in his eyes. The circus had been only one piece of a much larger danger. And her destiny was only just beginning. She tightened her grip on the glowing star fragment. She took a deep breath. She knew what she had to do. The stars were calling her again. And this time, she would rise to meet them.